Hello, everyone. Blue Star Saber here once again to discuss and review a My Hero Academia chapter. But this time, I am joined by Lucky Chi 7. Say hello, Lucky Chi.
Oh, you mean we're not doing a Boruto stream? Thank God.
No, for once, I figured we find something that's a bit more better quality, at least.
Yeah, and I mean, it's well. First of all, I should say, guys, what's going on? Lucky G here on Blues Channel talking about My Hero, which I think is a first, at least
Yeah.
on your end. I think.
Yeah, and often when it comes to My Hero Academia's discussions, we mostly do it for your channel, be it discussing an entire arc, or an anime arc, or like an anime season kind of thing, or even a movie. Though you did used to do solo chapter reactions, but you don't do them at the moment, though. From the looks of the way the chapter and manga series is going, you might just change that.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know, when did I gotta remember? This was, I think, maybe 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago.
The joint training arc, I believe it was.
Yeah, was it 2018 or 20? I'm pretty sure it was 2018. I remember kind of like I remember a lot of people were saying that like My Hero wasn't like really super top tier after All Might versus All for One, but I was like, but I liked what I was seeing with with the provisional license exam. Yeah, okay, the internship arc, I did like the first half of it. And what killed the pacing, what killed the second half of the arc was more so the pacing, and of course the final fight being a bit too stereotypical shonen-y as far as My Hero's concerned. But I don't think the arc was bad by any means.
Then we got a little mini arc with Bakugo and Shoto setting up the stuff with Endeavor. And then we got, I think, your favorite, arc for the I guess so far, the Cultural Festival arc, right?
Yeah, the Culture Festival arc, which, and here's my explanation of why I picked that as my favorite, because it brought back something that I think was kind of missing from My Hero for a while when we had the internship arc, and I thought it was a nice little touch that we got back to, and I was like, yeah, this is cool. I did like the Endeavor arc. That was actually pretty cool.
Oh yeah,
with high
arc, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got to the infamous joint training arc. The most different. Let's see. Mixed reaction.
The most divided arc. I'll say for sure. It was definitely the most divided arc.
Oh yeah, the broken base, the thing that broke the fandom at least. But yeah,
which and I remember mentioning this when I did my video a couple years back, but when I remember when it came to the joint training arc, I think it was like the time when I was kind of starting to fall out of love with the series, because I was like, it's not necessarily okay. The revelation was one thing, but it was more so, again, the pacing I think was a lot worse compared to, say, the internship arc.
From my understanding, the mangaka was moving house and he was getting a new editor, so that might have also been a contributing factor.
Yeah, and to be fair, we're getting that arc with season 5, and they could definitely fix the pacing of it like they did with season 4 when it came to the internship arc. But as far as like the story element of it goes, that I'm not sure about. But I'll say this: when the whole 6 quirks things happened, I was like, huh, like, I don't know, it just felt a little weird.
Well, interesting. We'll just have to see how anime viewers react to it, because because manga viewers and anime fans can have very different opinions depending on how a series is animated.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
But big examples would be Naruto, and I believe Lucky Chi has stated privately to me, Attack on Titan.
Yes.
But yeah, we're not really here to talk about those two series. Though we might be end up talking about them soon on Lucky Cheese channel, but we'll get there into a minute. But anyway,
One more thing, Blue, before you go on. And I'll say this: the Meta Liberation Army arc, I did think was a really good arc. It wasn't the comeback arc for My Hero that I thought I expected it to be, but I was like, well, all right, it was still pretty cool, especially since it had been more than 50 chapters since Shigaraki did anything. So I was like, all right, okay, this is actually pretty cool. The Endeavor Agency arc. I don't know if I said if that was like the best arc, but it was definitely like top 5 for sure.
I remember you really liking that arc and all that stuff. But yeah,
but I know for sure it's in the top 5 somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have this latest war arc that just. I know it's labeled a war arc, but it was more of like
a raid or a battle to you.
A raid, yeah. That's the gist of what it felt like.
But to be fair,
I won't go too much into detail as to what my thoughts are, but it was interesting. I'll say that it was definitely interesting.
I'll probably say this: when it comes to most shonen, most war arcs end up being like feeling like just one big battle or a raid, really. But yeah, that's just me. But heck.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway. Let's see. So yeah, we have let's see. So we've gotten like the bits of, let's see how you feel about the other arcs. And with the way this one has been, you're possibly considering going back to live reactions. Now I take it you're just going to wait a few more chapters to decide that or something.
Because I mentioned this in an update video that it did, I think a few years back. No, like last year, that depending on how My Hero goes and how this arc wraps up could determine if I end up coming back on doing live reactions, and by the looks of how this chapter went, I might very well be doing that.
Yep. Not to mention, after April, you'll be having a lot more free time to do so.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, we've gotten our introductions long enough. Let's get into the actual chapter. But anyway. Boku no Hero Academia 306 or My Hero Academia chapter 306. It's titled The Final Arc Begins. We get at least a nice little double page color image of Midoriya and Shigaraki both holding TVs with All Might, with Shigaraki holding All Might, with Midoriya holding, let's see, All for One. Let's see. We're showing that they're holding their respective mentors in a sense. Like,
I'm going to float for a minute and say that I called it, because the second this chapter was called The Final Act Begins, I was like, all right.
Yeah. So anyway, All Might is discussing, All Might is, sensing like what the discussion's going on with Midoriya and the previous cast, and from the looks of things, that he's at least aware that, him being quirkless was not a bad thing. But yeah. Anyway, he ends up getting a knock from Best Jeanist and Hawks, and they ask him about what One for All is, and All Might finally decides it's time to tell him, but tells him in privacy, of course. Then we get a bit of a call from the principal's office. From back on UA School, as everyone knows, the little mouse fella. The animal with a human quirk. But yeah, apparently they're discussing something. But anyway, 3 days had passed, and the panic that has shown has no signs of dying down. So everyone is watching their TV in a press conference as Endeavor, Best Jeanist, and Hawks go and explain what's happening. The details and all that stuff about what has transpired, including all the accusations they've had. The public are wanting some sort of reassurance. Endeavor confirms the truth of what his son has said, and he cannot further apologize enough, which is shocking the newscast. You're having audiences all over there having various comments about how it's over for Endeavor, how terrible this is, and even some former supporters are like, "I can't believe I supported this guy." Well, then the journalists and the media, going in like crying, saying it's all true, but apparently the stuff with Best Jeanist and Hawk is false, which Hawks explains, yep, it was in order to like he faked his death in order to infiltrate the League of Villains. However, the truth about his father is the true, and he apologized for keeping that information. And explains that for the matter of like the death of Twice, him killing Twice, is that he saw no situation out of it as he could not help Twice. In order to make sure that, the villains do not become more dangerous, he figured he'd kill him, which, to be fair, Twice is, at that point, a one-man army. Let's see. In many ways, he's like a white Setsu army by himself, but much more dangerous.
Yeah.
So anyway, a journalist ends up questioning about during the Gigamakis rampage, her mother was wounded. And it's then criticizing how is saying sorry is going to do with this, like, given how many people have lost their homes and all that stuff. And it's like the heroes are not feeling guilty, which Endeavor says. So should we show our pain and exhaustion and tears? Will that somehow fix anything? But angers the Genesee, saying that no, they're asking how you're going to ease the serenity with every villain going down. Let's see. Endeavor says like, let's see. Endeavor, the journalist is saying that she's right. It's exactly whatever the Endeavor must do to make amends is take down every villain that's causing panic right now. Let's see. With like Best Genius going on about how with like due to the drop in heroes, leaving their jobs after the battle. Let's see. Therefore, the government and them have come up with a plan of like a means of protection where they're using, UA High, UA High and other hero programs will put their expensive well-security campuses to use as designated evacuation shelters. I suppose in a certain way similar to the hero shelters you get in One Punch Man, if I'm guessing. As we already see that Bakugo and Midoriya's mothers already moving in. Journalists a bit critical of this thing is. Endeavor saying, for all your criticisms and doubts, just direct them all at me and just watch, as they saw it. And then we get a few panels of a bunch of heroes, mostly from the top 10 and Aizawa. Even though many have quit, they're still determined to save the day, and it looks like Aizawa has an eye patch now. But heck. But yeah. But as we see Darby with just one quick panel thinking that he didn't go far enough to destroy Endeavor from the looks of things. So it looks like he's coming with a lot more, thinking of probably a lot more some to think. But now we get to the main focus and probably the highlight of the chapter. But before that, apparently Endeavor was asked about One for All. He replied he doesn't know, because apparently he knows the secret as well, as I'm sure Best Genius and Hawks probably told him. And so that Deku and All Might wouldn't have to face the immediate targets and have targets on their backs and all that stuff. However, as we see in the Class 1A's like dormitories, Deku has left a letter, and we see from one for Uraraka saying, "Thank you for everything. I feel I have to reveal my secret to everyone in Class A. So I'm leaving these letters for you guys. My unique power was passed down to me from All Might." With Mineta saying Midoriya left a letter, and a bunch of the classmates are like talking about how they got it. And as the letter goes on, which is why Shigaraki and All For One are coming after me. So it's like, So they now all know the truth and the fact that Shigaraki and All For One are coming after him. So which leaves them in confusion. And then we get a little burst of narration of something that defines a hero is willing to suffer in silence. And we get like a bit of a big panel of Uraraka thinking that dummy, which is like the first time I think we've ever seen Uraraka call Deku an idiot, that in any form of capacity. But anyway, and then the chapter ends with a final double-page spread saying it's now April, and Midoriya has left the UA Hero Academy, the Hero Academia, as he's in sort of tattered clothes, and I think Gran Torino's scarf, as he's watching in the skyscraper in the distance, some big city crashing the buildings. Apparently, it's a giant villain, and the chapter ends with the final, with the chapter's name. The final act begins. Blimey, what a chapter! What a way to end the arc, wouldn't you say, Lucky Chi?
Yeah, which I don't know if I haven't mentioned this on air, but I remember someone on Twitter mentioned this that apparently 298 I think was supposed to be. It's 298 or 296. I don't remember now. Maybe it was 296. Let me see. Because funny enough, I actually have the wiki up, so this actually makes it a bit more convenient. I want to say 296. I think might have been the chapter. Yeah. Someone was saying that 296 would be the last chapter of the arc, and I was like, I don't know. It didn't feel like a proper closure. Whereas this one, I feel like does feel like closure.
Yeah, let's see. In many ways, 296 was more of like the last chapter of the final part of the battle, and the last few chapters afterwards have all been pretty much a sort of aftermath, if you will.
12 chapters of 10 chapters of aftermath, which is actually, I think, a first, because I don't think
a volume's length, I believe, but yeah, go on.
Well, I was gonna say, which I don't think a lot of series do. Which
I guess you could say the only two I can think of was One Piece with the Battle of Marineford, with the post-war arc, which was about around a volume and a half's length, I believe, which delved into the flashback of Luffy, Ace, and Sabo. In many ways, I suppose you could say it was kind of a mix of being like an aftermath and a sort of Kakashi Gaiden. Let's see. I know, I've not fully read Gintama. I do know that it had a war arc. With the Soul and Silver thing, and then went to a sort of time skip for its aftermath, and maybe even a little continuation of that final conflict, at least towards the end. But yeah, most war arcs don't really get a sort of long-term aftermath. But then usually that's because most war arcs tend to be the final arc of the series. Though I believe Black Clover has also done a little bit of an aftermath arc after, I think. It had a mega one with a sort of big battle or war with, I believe, the Elf tribe, is it?
Kind of. If you want to call that a war arc.
It's either a big battle or a war arc, but I don't know. It depends on who you ask, I think. But anyway, it's kind of nice. I mean, in many ways, I think one of the biggest common criticisms of war arcs is that you never properly resolve everything in the aftermath. You just cut to the log. But yeah. So anyway, let's go into the contents. Let's see.
I was gonna make this. I was gonna make this thing real quick where that when you mentioned Deku says a giant villain in the last page of the chapter.
Yeah.
I just thought about this right now, but if you go back to the first chapter, he says that. I think in one of the first few pages of the first chapter.
Okay.
It's if you look at here, I'm gonna send it to you. But if you look at I think the second page of chapter 1, and then look at this page right over here.
Oh yeah. I believe this is one of the color spread chapters, right? Pages.
Yep, right? This was the very first color spread that we got. So I thought that was actually pretty cool. It's a big contrast too, because you see in the first page or in the chapter 1 page that he's kind of hopeful and as excited, and then now you get to this and it's the complete opposite reaction to how he said it in chapter 1. I thought that was kind of cool.
See, well, I think he's feeling the weight of the entire situation going down. Back then, it was more of a time of peace. Now it's more of a time of chaos.
Yeah. So, what's your take on it? Comparing the two?
let's see from this scene to that. I think it's a sort of like a panel of like this. I think it's sort of like a showing of the way he's developing growth, but I think it's also a reflection of the state of society right now.
Yeah.
Because back then he was like a young mid schooler or something, where he was just like excited about the world of heroes, never thinking that he'd ever thinking that he may have the possibility or not to do it. And now that he's in this situation, he's realizing, and not to mention the current state of society, he realizes just how dire this is and all that stuff. And not to mention, he's also probably feeling the weight of his decision to leave his school, his friends and loved ones.
Yeah.
So it's like that. So yeah. So yeah. Let's see. I'm quite digging his sort of like, let's see, so I suppose semi-exile ripped clothing thing.
If that's if that's the design we're going with moving forward, I'd be down with that because that design actually looks pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. From the looks of it, he's just also putting on his mask now, so perhaps we'll see more of the mask, because one thing that's happened for most of the series is Deku rarely wears the mask.
Yeah.
But anyway. Let's see, one thing I'd like, it's finally happened, though, granted, off screen, which I'm not, which might be my only real criticism, is that All Might finally tells other heroes what his quirk is. All that stuff, but, oh well.
I mean, considering with everything that went down in the raid, I think it makes sense for it to
be off screen. Now, I have to admit, this was not really what I was expecting from the 306 to be. I was expecting to learn the two new heroes. I probably should have, predecessors for One for All kind of thing.
Yeah, that's what I was expecting too. I was like, all right, we're probably going to get into the new heroes. But I was actually kind of shocked with what we got. I was like, whoa. And it's been, at least for me, I can't really say it after a very long time, but something that happened in the war, which I was like, okay, so it's at least been since then where I was like,
But yeah. So yeah. Anyway, I have to admit, the press conference, probably went down as probably, I think, what everyone probably expected. Endeavor will try to make amends. Granted, the society has pretty much turned against him. But he seems like he'll at least try and stop the villains before, possibly he might end up retiring afterwards. Because it's like, right now, he cannot, resign. I mean, normally when a scandal like this happens, usually a public figure, be it a politician, a business manager, a celebrity, or something like that, usually has to step down from the role that they're doing when something like this happens. When, claims of family abuse and all that stuff kind of happens. Wouldn't you agree, Lucky Chi?
Yeah, I'd probably say so.
But I think due to the fact that this is the current state, Endeavor can't really step down because he has to take responsibility and all that stuff, which he intends to do. I think we discussed it in the last podcast we did with My Hero Academia, the last manga podcast, because I can't remember when if we did the movie one sometime afterwards. But yeah,
we did.
Is that Endeavor has been the most interesting character to follow throughout this Rise of the Villains saga. Now, granted, he's also probably been one of the most divisive characters because some people who have dealt with similar to issues to what Shoto's family has done. It's like they cannot forgive a father, and they may not feel uncomfortable of having a redemption story for a character like this because they probably know a person like this in real life that is probably treated in this way and has no remorses and all that stuff. But either way, I will which is very much controversial, but let's see. I am fascinated with Endeavor's story. I think it's clear that he'll never truly be forgiven for what he's done, though he can at least try and at least take responsibility, at least for the time being. I think this is what's going on. Wouldn't you say, Lucky Chi?
Repeat that.
But yeah. But I think.
Could you repeat that?
Okay. All right.
That last bit, just.
Okay, that society. Oops, hold on. Let me just. That was my alarm. I really should turn those off now. Anyway, I think I was saying society. It's very clear. I think after this that society is never going to fully forgive him for like what he did to his family, especially that it turned one of them into a supervillain. But he is going to try at least take responsibility and at least try and deal with the current situation at hand before he probably maybe then afterwards resign or not. But granted, he's not. Well, granted, he's not resigning anytime soon, at least. So, did you hear that now? Or
I did, and I do agree with you
in
that stance.
Yeah. But yeah. So yeah. One of the highlights for me is like finally everyone in class 1A knows what's going on, which means I'm assuming that eventually Midoriya's mother's eventually going to know because like they're probably not going to keep this a secret from her. And I am very curious. I am very curious to see if we're going to get anything of like Class 1A discussing with All Might about what happened, even if it's just like a little brief flashback in the current events. But yeah. Let's see. But one thing that I find really interesting is the fact that Uraraka says that dummy. I think that's the first time she's ever called him a like a idiot or dummy of backer, if you will.
I mean, when you consider the situation that everyone's in, it's understandable. I can see why she called him that.
Yeah, many ways, but yeah, I can kind of agree with that. And it's granted, it's a bit surprising since usually when you hear that idiot or that dummy or backer, it's usually from a more tsundere-like character to like the protagonist. Then Uraraka is not really like a tsundere, but
yeah, but she's not really a moe character either.
Yeah,
truth be told,
she's sort of like a enthusiastic character, I guess. I don't know. I need to figure out. I'd
say bubbly. She's more like a bubbly, energetic character. That's kind of how I describe her.
Yeah, I don't know. We gotta look up the name, see if Japan has an name for those type of character archetypes or not.
Hold on, let me pull up my first finding because I know Koei describes her a certain way. Quick, keep going up, Blue.
Okay, but yeah. Well, I have to admit, this is not how I expected them to all learn about, let's see, Midoriya's secret. I always figured he'd tell them, or Bakugo would tell them, but let's see, face to face. But nope, it's through a letter. But then again, I suppose since he's leaving, it'd probably be much harder to say it in person and leave. But yeah. The one reaction I'm curious about is Shoto, given the fact that, let's see, he was the one that was most questioning about Midoriya's powers, especially after the Joint Training Festival arc. I mean the Joint Training arc. I don't know why I said festival there. You found your first volume yet, Lucky G?
Yeah, give me just 1 second. Yep, I found it.
Okay.
So, if I remember correctly with how Koei described Otsuka, it's in here somewhere. I remember this because
All right.
where did he mention? There we go.
You found it?
Let's see here. So this is what he said in her little character bio. I plan to have her appear with Izuku a lot, which of course is apparent at this point. So she needed to be cheery enough to drive their conversations. She's unexpectedly brazen and frank, proving that there is no hidden side to her if you catch my drift. Let's see here. Early on, Mountain Lady was going to be the hero. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't even catch that.
Oh, okay.
But when it comes to a girl whose only power is taking that to its logical conclusions, she has brought about all sorts of problems. And the character started getting pretty dark, so I changed her. The moment when I came up with her was the first time in my manga career when I thought myself a true genius. It's such a nuanced name. Um, let's see here. Editor's note. Her name literally means T girl pretty day, with her last name being a homophone with one way to say beautiful. Okay, so mainly she's just described as being like super cheery.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
No, it's interesting. Though, granted, it probably worked the best that she ended up being the main female character, because let's see.
Yeah, even I was aware that Mountain Lady was supposed to be the protagonist. That's actually kind of cool.
Oh, I knew about that, but let's see. But yeah, but granted, let's see. Probably Mount Lady probably fits for a more older character for particular service, I guess you could say.
I'd probably say like I think she would probably be better for vigilantes, but you know.
Yeah, but yeah, she's more suited for something a bit more, I suppose, a more darker story like Vigilante as well. Urark is more for a more upbeat thing like this. Given the fact that since Midoriya is not your usual shonen protagonist, the tsundere archetype doesn't really work with him.
Yeah.
It works more for the idiot, for the more simple-minded ones.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, regarding the letter to like everyone, did you expect Midoriya to like tell everyone this way, or were you expecting him to say it in person or Bakugo to tell him?
See, I thought it would have been okay, you can call it a nitpick, but I think it would have been better if he told either Bakugo, Todoroki, or Ochako, and then spread the message that way. But or no. If you wanted the letter to be a thing, maybe he hands it off to somebody, and then they find out that way. The fact that he just like left it on the desk is, I don't know. I find that just a little strange, just a little. But
granted, it seems like my guess is he probably could be too hard to leave if he tells them face to face, so he's done it this way.
True.
Granted, I'm very curious to see the reactions of Ida and Shoto. Let's see about one for all, since Shoto was mostly questioning and Ida's quite a close friend and all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. But yeah, I'm also very curious in seeing if Aizawa knows, and possibly if Midoriya's mother's going to be, because I would really like to see if they will just try and discuss anything with All Might too for a bit. It's like, let's see, is what he's saying true and all that stuff? And then, I don't know, but I don't think you're going to get like a full-on chapter explaining to All Might, though. Granted, you're probably going to at least have Bakugo telling about how...
Maybe a few, I could see like maybe a few pages of an explanation. I don't think we're going to get like half a chapter or anything going into that.
So yeah. Anyway, just about everything. Let's see. Let's just discuss the chapter's title. The final act begins. Now, this could mean... Now, it knows that we're in the final stage of My Hero Academia, but this is like what it means. Do you think it means a final arc, like we're going to get like a super mega arc, or you think it's going to be like one more saga?
It could be either one. And I mean, to be fair, I can't say, because I know a lot of people were like super surprised by it, and I can't say I was completely surprised, because if you recall, I think it was during the Jump Festa interview last year that Koei mentioned that the story could be reaching its conclusion soon.
Yeah. It did intend for it to go 30 volumes, though granted, it's probably gone a bit past that now. So my guess is we're going to at least probably get up to at least maybe 45 or something.
Well, I'm thinking because if this volume because I know volume 30 comes out in like next week. Actually, let me see real quick. Which volume? What did 29 go up to? Because 29 went up to, if I remember correctly. Okay, 29 goes up to 285. So if this next volume goes up to, let me think here. This next one's gonna have 200 pages. So if we're looking at it that way, this next volume should probably go up to 296.
296. Okay.
Yeah, and if we're following the same trend of, or I wonder if it's 296 for this volume, and then that means the 31 could probably be where this volume ends. And if you end off the volume with this chapter, I think it's perfect.
Fair enough. Yeah, not to mention you'd have had, let's see, 11 volumes for like the first saga and possibly 20 volumes for this saga. From what I can, if I'm doing my math right.
Let's see here, because the first saga the first saga ultimately encompassed 11, and from 12 to now is the Rise of the Villain saga.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's up there, but we finally got to see all the villains rising, such as Shigaraki. Awful.
It took its time because, and for those of you who don't know, when the saga started, Blue knows this by heart at that point. And that was my biggest gripe with the saga so far. I was like, what? It's like, it's the Rise of the Villains. When's it happening?
Yeah. So, yeah, you pretty much got Shigaraki rising. Let's see, all for one out of jail, including Muscular, let's see, Midnight, Stain, Overhaul, and perhaps a few others that we don't know of. But, yeah. But either way, let's see, many big shot villains are out causing chaos. Let's see, and all that stuff. So the villains and society is crumbling as heroes are resigning. But yeah, let's see. In many ways, you could say that the supposed dark second middle chapter of the thing is finally concluding, and we're going probably like, let's see, our third act, which is probably like the last of like a sort of big trilogy of sagas, possibly. But yeah, or just one big arc, and then that's it. I mean, I'm not sure. Granted, there's quite a lot of things to be concluding, of course, such as, let's see, the Uraraka versus Toga conflict, because I think that's clearly going to happen. Let's see. We got a bit of a glimpse of it, let's see, in this walk. Let's see, we've got Stain coming back, so I'm hoping that means we're going to get some more stuff with Ida, since that's a rather personal villain for him.
Yeah, it is.
Since, let's see, Ida's never, unfortunately, let's see, this saga hasn't really had much of a big role since, let's see, I think the only two, since I suppose you could say that.
I was going to say Ochiko didn't really have a lot, but then I thought about it, I'm like, well, she's had little moments here and there, so I can't really say that she hasn't had anything.
I'd say the highlight for Ida for this saga, of course, was like, besides this current arc was like the joint training arc, but yeah. Outside of that, not much. Well, I suppose he did lead his class in the exam for a bit with most of the groups, but yeah. For like the let's see hero exam thing. But anyway.
Yeah, I would say I think the biggest characters to get something out of it. Again, I think Deku for sure, obviously. Surprisingly, Bakugo, which I wasn't really expecting a whole lot. Definitely Todoroki. Yeah. And like I said, again, I don't think Ochiko got as much spotlight as those three, but I think she got enough.
Yeah, she's at least got enough to be promised, at least for the future, especially with like Toga, with their last confrontation.
Yeah.
Which hopefully we'll get a much longer fight with her, because I mean, this is why I've always had one of the bit of few hopes for Toga, is that Uraraka's that Toga's been there, and it's just like this is clearly her future opponent. Possibly Endgame one, maybe. Let's see. For Ida, we'll just have to see. Let's see. Koei might end up doing with him. But anyway, let's go curiosity. At the moment, it's currently April, and Midoriya is seeing a giant villain. I'm not sure if we're going to see him take out this giant villain, or if we're going to have a few more months or something like that pass. But I'm just wondering, you think we could potentially have a time skip?
Here's a case I'm going to bring up that I think will be interesting. Okay, let's say, and I've seen this theory running around for a while. So let's say this final act is for My Hero, right? So it's still continuing on, like Deku's still the same ET as right now. All the cast still the same. And then say this series ends, and then you get the next series, which would be, which I got one of two names, either My Hero Life or My Hero Society.
Fair enough. That could work. I mean, we really gotta see what he's like. If it's gonna be like, see if he's actually gonna keep, the title.
I mean, I'm pretty sure My Hero will be in the title, but I think the academia section of the story is wrapping up, and I think that to me, the more I think about it now, could be the reason why it's called Final Act.
Yeah. Well, who knows? I mean, it's probably but either way. Let's see. We probably should one thing I've got to ask about Deku leaving the Hero Academia. Would you think this was like a good thing for the character and all that stuff?
Here's the thing, because this was actually talked about early on, as early as Joint Training arc goes.
Mm-hmm.
But it was kind of hinted at that oh my god, why am I thinking of his name right now? Shinso, there we go. Yeah, it was hinted that Shinso was gonna probably replace somebody. That was the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And if I have to be perfectly honest, Deku was the last person on the list that I was expecting. So
yeah,
the fact that you got rid of Deku from the academy, I think, is a really ballsy move.
And now he's
a really ballsy move.
In many ways, Shinso has become the Sai of the My Hero world.
Oh my god! Let's not say that.
Well, let's hopefully Koei will show what Kishimoto should have done with Sai rather than Itzy. But yeah, but it'll be very interesting with Shinso. You probably will be taking Midoriya's class now that they're down the student to make it an even 40-40 again.
I mean, there are still some characters from Class 1A that I think should get some spotlight, like Koda and I forget the guy who has the eye for the tail, but there's that too.
Okay. Fair enough. But yeah, I am curious to see how Shinso will react to Midoriya's quirk. Let's see, the fact that he always tried to, say like, "Oh, you were born special with your quirk and all that stuff." It's like, no, he was actually handed to him.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, it'll be interesting. Oh yeah, I have to admit. So yeah, it'll be very interesting. Now, granted, I suppose if we do get a time skip, you probably would have Midoriya's outfit changing a bit, though. You're hoping we keep this one for a while. But who knows? Yeah,
I mean, what do you think? If we get a time skip, do you think they're going to keep the academia title, or do you think they're going to get rid of it? Because with where we're at right now, I don't think the academia title is necessary.
I think it depends on how big of a time skip it is. If it's if we're going to go through if it's going to miss the remaining 2 school years Midoriya should have had, then get rid of the title. Though if you've got maybe one last year left, possibly have to keep it in and stuff. It really depends.
Yeah,
I mean, there was a little semi time skip of going a few months to get to the final battle of the the last war arc thing, but it wasn't I suppose a official time skip Naruto and One Piece and Bleach had, in which 2 years was so passed, and with Black Clover's 6 months. From what I'm understanding, that Black Clover had a 6-month time skip, right? But yeah, I think it really should we just have to really wait and see what 307 shows us, and it'll show us what kind of direction this final act means. Is it going to be one big mega arc, or is it going to be a saga or a time skip?
Well, and this is something I always remember that Koei said, but he did mention that he already knows the ending of the story, which does make me curious now that we've got this.
Yep. Well, one thing's clear. My Hero Academia is most likely to end before One Piece.
Which is saying something, by the way, guys.
Well, One Piece is very long. Though granted, it's still ending before Hunter x Hunter.
How would you feel if Hunter x Hunter ends before One Piece does?
I have to admit, I'll be very surprised. But then again, we have no idea how long Hunter x Hunter's gone. But anyway, back to My Hero Academia. So, you got any more thoughts you want to say for this, Lucky Chi?
Actually, no. That's pretty much all I got to say. I'll say this. All right. Nowadays, I'm not super big into the whole shipping talk thing, but I can't say that I'm not curious about how Ochako and Deku's next interaction is going to be after what just happened.
I do wonder if Ochiko's finally going to confess her feelings to him.
Yeah.
Or at least maybe,
or at least now, like, she starts taking a much more active role now that he's not there.
Let's see. I assume that she's probably going to berate him first before embracing him. That's my guess. But yeah. Let's see. The only other thing I'm curious about is Midoriya's mother, and also the fact that apparently Midoriya's father is going to appear at some point.
Yeah, Koei hasn't forgotten about that.
He did say that he's had something in mind for the story. Well, now would be a good time for it, I guess. So anyway, that is us concluding for the final arc begins. Out of curiosity, out of score of 1 to 10, how would you score it?
This chapter, well, okay, I don't do number scaling ratings anymore, but what I get this chapter rating? It's probably been a first for My Hero in a super, super long time, as far as chapters go. I'll go ahead and say Amazing Plus. Which, and if anybody wants to know my rating system, the lowest rating you get is shit. Then you get meh, then okay, then good, great, amazing, and then the very last rating scale is pure perfection. So this is the fact that I'm giving it Amazing Plus is actually saying a lot.
Okay. Fair enough. That's probably quite positive. I mean, how many pure perfections do you actually give out of curiosity?
Very rare.
Fair enough. Fair enough. As for me, I'll give this one a 9 out of 10 just because of those last few pages. I really like it. I really like it. This is clearly a change of the status quo. Which
honestly, I think the last few pages I think is what really did it for me, because I was originally going to be like, that's okay. It's a great chapter. I can't say it's anything like super up there, but then last few pages, you know what? Let me reevaluate this.
Okay. Well, anyway, that's our bits and that stuff. I'll see you probably the next time when you and I talk My Hero Academia is when you do a full podcast for like this manga arc that we just now been concluded, or something else, possibly for the movie or maybe the anime season. But I have a feeling it's going to be the manga arc first. Now that I think for now we can finally conclude that this arc has concluded.
Yep. And if someone says otherwise for the wiki that it's not over yet, I'm like, no, I'm certain this is the end of the arc.
As for when I'll be back on my stream next time, well, I'm thinking of maybe doing a solo review of Fairy Tail 100 Year Quest in Eden Zero, though I'm still debating on it since I'm wondering if I should just save the Fairy Tail Quest stuff for when we just do like a full-on like act or something or arc. But yeah, other than that. Well, I don't know. Let's see. It depends on, if I conclude any anime arcs or stuff like that. But for now, I'm Blue Star Saber.
I'm Lucky Chi.
And we are signing off. Thank you for joining us.
Later.